how they got through it, and they said, well, we just went real fast. We just floored it. That was the answer. We're just going to go real fast, therefore there will be limited amount of exposure to the bad melon belts as you're trying to get to the moon, which is great and all, except there's a problem there, and that is fine. Let's say you did, I don't believe it, but let's say you did go real fast and went through it. Well, that's just the one-way part. What happens when you're heading back to Earth? Because that whole real fast thing, that's not there anymore because you don't have the rocket technology anymore because you're just kind of limping back. Plus, you can't go real fast if you're trying to get home because you got to hit the brakes, which means you're actually going to do the opposite. You're going to go real slow, which means you're going to be hanging out in the belt for a long time as you're trying to get back into Earth's atmosphere, if you believe that. And I absolutely do not. What I'm saying, for those people who are listening and aren't quite getting some of the broader strokes, and I'm saying that the entire inception of NASA, when it was founded in 1958, up until the present day, what you're listening right now, is that it was completely fabricated to hide the world from what you know. That they found out it was a globe in the 50s, the early 50s, and they had to militarize space, and they didn't want to hide. They didn't want to tell you. It became a weird kind of Twilight Zone episode where, you've seen, it's a great plot twist where they get up there and it's like, oh man, this is not good at all. The decision has to come pretty quick. Should we tell people? Should we tell the general population? And they said, you know what? It's going to be a mess. Let's just deal with it. We'll hide it as long as we can. We'll have enough contingency plans. And then if we have to tell them later, we're going to make sure we're fully prepared for complete economic collapse if that happens, which I don't think it would. But, they're not going to take chances.
Well, it certainly is an amazing event.
Yeah.
It's a world event, and we're not really sure when things are going to pop large, because this could cause a problem with announcing aliens coming to save us.
Well, or is it the precursor to it? What I try to tell people is anyone that's been doing the flat Earth thing long enough know my opinion on something, which is this thing could have been repressed very, very easily. In 2015, flat Earth was not what I thought I would be doing, nor did I want to do it. But for whatever reason, I was compelled to do it. And I was not stopped in any way, shape, or form, nor was anybody else in the flat Earth movement. It just grew in a real organic, viral sense through social media. Mainstream has just avoided it like the plague. Neil deGrasse Tyson has come on national television and said on air, and CNN and Bloomberg say, look, we do not, the media should not be talking about flat Earth. Why would you do that? But to your point, if you wanted to announce some sort of alien agenda, that would be a good starting point. And that is, you lead in with flat Earth, mess with people's head anyway, as far as reality goes, and what's real and what's not, and what they've been told. And then, they're vulnerable. So at that point, you could have aliens show up and say, oh yeah, by the way, we built it. And who's gonna doubt them? Well, the religious right, would, and different spiritual groups probably wouldn't buy it, depending on what they looked like. So yeah, that's kind of what people are. That's the buzz in the flat Earth world right now. Is everyone saying, okay, it's a setup. It's a setup for something bigger. It's being allowed to permeate through social media. So what is the follow up? If flat Earth is kind of like the jabs in boxing, what's the big right hook? That's what we're looking for right now.
The Third Reich hook. I don't know. And the map, the insignia for the UN is certainly obvious in so many movies. What was the last Apocalypse movie with the X-Men? I can't tell you how many places I could see references to where we live. Not just maps, but also arcs and different things and flatness underneath. It's amazing. It's all over the place. And it's being thrown in people's faces, and if that's their only joke, the joke's almost over. Everyone's about to get it.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I forgot to tell people, you touched on a point there, what the map actually looks like. So a lot of people can't envision it. It's like, well, how are the continents laid out? You want to see it, just look at the UN flag. That's easy to find. Just type it in Google. And that is the UN flag, which was designed in 1946. Shows the North Pole at the center of the map, and the continents kind of spread organically outward, and then the outer edge, north normally on a globe would all end in Antarctica. So Antarctica would actually be stretched around the outer edge like a giant ice wall. Now, up until now, people said that was really just a map projection, and it's not really literal. It's not that Antarctica is stretched around us like a giant ice wall, but in reality, what we're saying is that that's exactly the case. Although it is interesting that the UN map, Antarctica is missing. You know, why is Antarctica, a giant continent, why is it not on the UN map? It's like, why not include it at some point? It's like, well, no, that's just the way you'd have to draw it. It's like, no, you could have drawn it exactly like the AE projection. The AE projection was 1,000 years old, way older than the UN flag. All you do is copy it exactly. But they seemed like they wanted to keep it, this kind of this inside joke. And in fact, in 1946, I don't think even they knew for sure. I think they jumped the gun because Admiral Byrd, our United States' greatest explorer and youngest naval admiral, he was down there looking from 1928 until his death in 1957, and looking for this thing. And even then they weren't sure what was going on, where the borders were, and how everything was laid out. And it looked like they were almost ready to give up in 1954, and then of course, by 1955, Murphy's Law kicks in, and they figure it out for sure.
There is a term, Arctic Circle. It's in our vocabulary, and it's all right in front of us, and that's part of the laughing at those who do not see, and who's easily manipulatable, and who's too smart for their own good.
Yeah, and I don't think, there's a lot of people that will come back and say, because one of the arguments is, well, there's too many people that have to know about it. They're like, everybody in NASA, every NASA employee, and all these governments, like, no,
they wouldn't.
You wouldn't have to let that many people know. It's not like the Manhattan Project, where you had to, swear all these people that were working on atomic weapons, to secrecy. This is one of those things where, anyone that's turning a wrench, they don't have to know anything.
Right.
People that that run security, people that basically, unless you're at the highest levels of government or super rich. And they say, well, Bill Gates knows. No, why would you tell Bill Gates? Why would you tell any of those guys? These are, we're talking about the highest of the high would have to know this, because really, in this case, less is more. The less people that know about this, the less people you have to worry about killing and keeping under wraps, because you cannot let this thing leak out. Now, luckily, the mainstream media is completely controlled by the authority, so they don't have to worry about it very much. So they're not going to run the story. If it breaks out in the mainstream media, and you know this as well as anybody, that means they want the story to come out. The question is why. And that's what we're waiting for right now.
How many people have a vested interest in their lives and their brains and their time and their energy on work that they are just about to realize means nothing based on those equations? That is a very frightening thing for people who are so ingrained in certain parts of the educational world. And what most people do not understand is that schools and colleges were built originally for people to learn to read the Bible, which it's actually, if you look at it from a game standpoint, if we're in a video game, then this is the rule book. And someone built the game. They started with the light and the dark and laid it all out, and made a biosphere and windows so that the watchers can see what's going on and people can watch the game. And if we just have a virus in it, and that could be easy to take care of by going, hey, wait a minute, things are really not so bad. Like, we can change it in the twinkling of an eye. We can all get together and be the people we were meant to be rather than what we've been forced to be. Ignorant.
Agreed. So agree.
Well, is there a particular thing that you find is interesting, and what are some of your favorite CGIs or favorite photos?
Well, the thing was the one that everybody knows about, and again, if you want to look it up, I got a good CGI story for you. I got several actually. The first one was, and a lot of people know this one already, which was because again, I saw this back in 2000, and it was literally right in front of my face, and I completely missed it, like everybody, because it's why would anyone ever believe it? That was, I was looking for, back in 2000, I was looking for images of Earth that I could put on all the tech support machines at a company I was working for in Boulder, Colorado. And so I was doing searches, on the internet. I was looking for, pictures of the Earth from space, and I knew Boolean strings pretty well, that I could find stuff, and I got a lot better as time went on. But back then, I was just typing in all this stuff, and I just kept getting. Every search I put in, I kept getting the same image. And I don't mean variations of the same image of Earth. I mean the exact same picture of Earth in just different resolutions. Meaning, and everybody knows which one I'm talking about. It's the one from Apollo 17 from 1972, showing the bottom part of Africa and all of Antarctica, and mostly clouds. And I thought, no matter what I searched for, I kept getting that image. And it was driving me nuts because it was impossible. I was going, I knew anything. I was like, look, NASA should have tens of thousands of images on the internet. They should be, their website. I'm literally yelling at the screen. I'm going, you suck, NASA. You guys are terrible at this. And so I ended up picking another image and going with something completely different. Fast forward to when the iPhone first came out, and most people don't know this, but you can look it up. And that was the first globe. The first iPhones had that globe image on it. That iconic globe image. Well, that was created by a collaboration between NASA and one of the guys at Apple, because he couldn't find any pictures either of the Earth from space. And so he ended up fabricating one, with the help of NASA, and just drawing the whole thing with CGI. And it's like, wait, why would you have to do that? There should be tons of pictures. That's where a lot of this stuff goes. In fact, I've got a debate tonight where you're going to come out, and that's one of my opening lines is what happened to all the pictures of the Earth from space? Literally, from 1972 until July of 2015, there was one shot, not four, not three, one. There should have been thousands, so many that you would have. You would just probably take the first 100 and sort through those and be like, okay, I'll pick this one. No, there was exactly one shot, and then all of a sudden they released a new blue marble shot, and NASA announced it. The White House tweeted it. Neil deGrasse Tyson talked about it, and it bugged me because they not only did they release, and they talked about it on CNN. They talked about it on national news. They said, oh yeah, by the way, this is the first blue marble shot we've done in 43 years. Why would you tell people that? Why
Red flag.
But they had to. They had to release the photo because we were driving them nuts. And by that, and yes, I know it's egotistical for the movement to actually say that.
Actually, it's true.
They've been making moves based on what we've been complaining about, basically.
Yeah.
The second one was the moon transiting in front of the Earth from a satellite that apparently nobody knew about. It was exactly 1 million miles away, and it was like 6 frames. It was like chunk. It was South Park could have done. The animated team from South Park could have done a better job with the moon going in front of the in front of the Earth, which was horrible. And then they still to this, and there was other little things like the Matt Boylan thing where he analyzed, and he has a good eye because he was a painter professionally, where he analyzed the Galileo footage from 1990, which was really supposedly the only footage that we had. It wasn't even a motion picture, but it was as close as we had to it, of the Earth rotating on its axis. And he goes, wait, this thing just did a 24-hour rotation and the weather didn't change. Basically, the Earth turned its entire 360 degrees, and you look at the same cloud formation over the top part. It's like, that's not even possible. But then we had one of our guys call up, and there's a video on it online. He pretends to be a Hollywood producer. He calls up the NASA trademark office, puts the whole thing on speakerphone, records it, and basically asks them if they have any stock footage of the Earth rotating on its axis they could use for his movie. And he says, no, we don't have any of that. Which meant they disavowed the 1990 Galileo footage. So now they've got, so instead of thousands of hours of the Earth, taken from all angles, rotating here and there, they've got, instead of tens and tens of, unlimited, let's say 100,000 photos of the Earth from space, they've got 2 And it just goes on and on to now. Of course, they're releasing stories every single day. I used to joke that it was like once a month. It was like clockwork.